Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
How epic this is. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Stuff and Things Podcast. I am Sam. We're talking The Umbrella Academy Season 3. And joining me, my partner in crime, it's Stefan.
It is I. I do return for a third season.
It is I. Yes. Well, welcome back, buddy. How's things with you?
Yeah, not too bad, buddy. Not too bad. How about yourself?
Yeah, okay. I'm still kind of warm here. Not in a kind of like, oh my god, we're burning the world kind of way this time, but in just like a general sort of, it is very warm.
Yeah, the temperature's gone down, but I don't know if it's the humidity or what's gone up. Because
yeah I think
I'm
humidity.
like it's 20 degrees instead of 32 degrees at the moment. Yeah, I'm still sat here going, it's warm.
Yeah, good. I'm glad it's not just me. And it's kind of like a tradition on this podcast that we discuss the weather because we are British.
Exactly.
And that's how we roll. I want to start by saying we had a fair few messages from different people come in to discuss the Umbrella Academy. We talked about season 1. We did it as one show, talking about all the episodes.
Yep.
Season 2, we did a episode by episode breakdown, which was kind of difficult because Netflix obviously drop it all in one go, and what I find with that is obviously you don't always just watch it one by one. So we weren't in a position where we could watch one, record the show, watch another one, record a show. You know, just life doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So we'd end up like, you'd be on like, okay, I'm on episode 4, but like, okay, I'm on 5 and we need to record 2. It got a bit kind of crazy. So this year we've decided to revert back to, okay, we're going to talk about the season as a whole. I know with The Witcher we kind of break it down into sections as well, but I think different shows, different things. But on this one, that's definitely the route we're going down.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Makes more sense, doesn't it? Like, with Netflix, it's like, this is my... It's a bugbear and it's not a bugbear with Netflix.
Yeah.
Because a lot of shows they release, I want to binge.
Yeah.
They do this. They did The Witcher.
Yeah.
That was Netflix, wasn't it? And like, you watch the first episode and you're like, I want to watch all of them now.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant for that sense of it. It's absolutely brilliant. In a podcasting world, it's an absolute nightmare.
It is a nightmare.
Mainly because when we have done it episodically, I have already binge watched at least 3 episodes. And I'm like, wait, when did that happen?
Well, that is it, because that's where it becomes difficult. You kind of like keep your little bullet points and you're like, oh, you know, and I thought this in this episode. Of course, the next episode, that ruined that. And it's like, oh.
Yeah.
You know, you're not keeping it very true.
Yeah.
But
you just know this person's going to be the bad guy until you watch another 3 episodes. And then you'll actually see that
and then you'll realise, that they die. I mean, maybe they don't die. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is the Umbrella Academy Season 3. Now, part of the tradition on this episode, as I say to you, and the title of the episode was, we're talking about the entire season here. So we have 10 episodes.
Deep breath.
Now, the title of the episode for episode 1 was...
Meet the Family.
Episode 2...
World's Biggest Ball of Twine.
I love that one.
So random.
Episode 3...
Pocket Full of Lightning.
Episode 4...
The Kugelblitz.
Episode 5...
The Kindest Cut.
Episode 6...
Marigold.
7...
Auf Wiedersehen.
How about number 8?
Wedding at the End of the World.
Number 9...
7 Bells.
And completing the set, number 10...
Oblivion. And they were all released on the 22nd of June, 2022.
Yes, they were. Okay, so let's kick off with the kind of outline then. So the basic premise is we ended season 2 is the gang had saved the world, the universe again.
However,
when they suddenly realized that although they were back in their own time, they had created a separate timeline. Their interaction with Dad, in air quotes, because the man is just the worst. He had decided, I met the Umbrella Academy, not a fan of those guys, so when I'm doing this again in the future, I'm going to pick different people. And basically, he does, and alters the timeline, and therefore, they go to what they think is the Umbrella Academy, and it turns out it's actually the Sparrow Academy. And
I kind of like the idea of this guy is kind of like, no, those guys are jackasses. I'm going to...
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of funny. What were their names
again? Make sure we don't adopt these 7. These guys.
It is funny. I mean, the premise of that is kind of great. He met them in the 60s and was like, no, assholes, no chance. So we have the Umbrella Academy, which is, of course, at this point, Vanya, Luther, Alison, Diego, number 5, Klaus, and, of course, Ben was part of that. The Sparrow Academy, we meet is 001, as I'm going to call him, is Marcus. 2 is Ben, which is the same Ben from the Umbrella Academy, but a bit of an ass.
Yep.
3 is, I think Faye is the right way of pronouncing it. I mean, it's spelled in the IMDb as F-E-I.
Yes,
I think it was Faye.
Yeah.
And kind of a crazy ass ability where it controls a murder of crows that seem to come out of her. They're basically her eyes and ears, and it's really kind of creepy.
Yeah.
4 is Alfonso. In my notes, melty face. He can take damage, but it inflicts it on the aggressor, was the official thing. 5 is Sloane. Hello, Sloane. She can control gravity for herself and others. And then we have, I think it's Jamie, but spelt kind of jacked, is number 6. Can fire a kind of venom which causes hallucinations, which is something we're going to come on to in a moment.
Yep.
And then just because the Umbrella Academy likes to be completely random and batshit, number 7 is Christopher, who just so happens to be a cube.
Yeah, that one.
Any idea at all?
No, none at all.
It's like, and they're all just like, it makes a load of noise, like, and they're like, haha, good one, Chris.
Like, I just sat there going, no, what? Sorry, I'm very confused by this.
Do you know what? A lot of people watch shows like this with the subtitles on, and I got no idea if you would have put the subtitles on whether it actually tells you what he says.
That'd be awesome.
That's a real modern thing, by the way, as well. Like, I don't get it, but like my younger sisters who are in their mid to early 20s, they watch everything on Netflix with subtitles on, even with the volume on.
Ooh.
Any idea why that is? I have no clue.
So I watched the Clone Wars at the moment on good old Disney Plus.
Yep.
And because I've got a lot of stuff going on around me at the same time,
yeah.
If I'm watching it on the PC or something, I'll have the subtitles out just because sometimes, kid will run past, make loads of noise, and I'll be like, no idea what they just said. Absolutely no idea what that line of conflict. That's brilliant. I don't know if he's going to save the world or destroy it now. Well done, kid. Thank you.
Well,
so I have the subtitles up at the bottom just in case.
Just to have a quick review.
Yeah. But in general, I don't sit and watch TV with subtitles on.
No, but it is a thing.
Unless I'm watching like Squid Games or something, then you kind of need it.
Yeah, no, that's not something I had any interest in. I've got to be honest with you.
I got 2 episodes. 2 episodes in, I did.
Oh, well done. Well, it's like one of those things. Like I remember when everyone was telling me I had to watch Tiger King. It's like, oh, you have to watch this show, and I watched an episode. And I went, no, I do not have to watch this show.
Yeah, I think that's all I did about an episode. I think that was all I went to.
Tiger King and of course Love Island.
No chance.
No. But back to the Umbrella Academy. We have a scene where the Sparrow Academy confronts the Umbrella Academy. A bit of a kind of face-off situation, and the one with the kind of venom fires it. Fires out. Hits Diego, and then the next thing nothing really happens. Diego kind of looks at her, and she kind of gives him a filthy look, and it's like, okay, that was really weird.
Yeah, why did you spit at me? Yeah.
But then the next thing that happens is, how do I put this? A dance fight.
Yeah, is it Footloose dance off?
It is Footloose. Now, Now, I'm watching... The thing is with this show, and is you're watching it and you're kind of like, okay, I mean, this is the Umbrella Academy. Literally, this could be what's happening.
Yeah.
But the whole
every season there has been a dance scene.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
At some point, I saw somewhere online someone said about it. And the first one is like literally the introduction is they're all dancing around the house.
Yeah.
There's one in season 2 as well. So each season has a random dance scene.
Well, there you go. I mean, Luther, like, well, I think Diego says to him, "What the hell are you doing?" And Luther's like, dancing for the honor of the family, bro.
Protecting our honor or something, yeah.
Yeah, and then all of them start doing it, and I mean, Klaus is just brilliant, as always, and they all get into it, and they're all dancing, and then all of a sudden it all stops, and you realise that it was an hallucination, and the venom fired caused it, and Diego, like, gives her this weird look, and she's just smiling at him, like, hee, I did that to you. So it goes from a dance-off, which is imaginary, to an actual fight between the two academies. And to be blunt, the Umbrella Academy get their asses handed to them.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me is the kind of... I don't know. The Umbrella Academy are so disorganised. I think, they are absolute chaos all the time. All of them. And they're kind of like... They'd almost be happier smacking each other around the head than they would anybody else. Obviously, 5 holds his own quite well because he's a tricky little git. But yeah, it is just carnage. They do get an absolute kicking. Luther probably the worst. I'd say Luther gets taken out by his kind of, number one compatriot way too easy.
Then he just, there's no mess around there, so you're done.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was kind of badass. And so they get taken out, they leave the house, but one of the things we learn as they leave the house and the kind of Sparrow Academy are like, get out and stay out, whatever, shaking their fists, is something arrives in the basement of the house. And it is this orb of orb of doom, really.
Yes.
And it is the Kugelblitz.
Yeah, it comes back with them.
Yeah, and they have a version of Mom, the robot, and Mom's down there and is basically worshipping it.
There's a character that over the 3 seasons doesn't get a good deal.
No.
In any of the seasons, she does not get a good deal.
Not even a little bit. But she's down there worshipping it. Their version of number 1, Marcus, this big strong guy, who basically is like hero worshipped by the public as well. We see,
the Sparrow Academy are very, very different.
They're very loved. Yeah, like you see him up on the roof doing a workout, and people are like, "Oh, throw us your sweaty towel," and he does.
Yeah.
But he goes down to investigate like what Mom's doing with the Kugelblitz. He investigates it and gets destroyed by the Kugelblitz. Yeah. So this happens like fairly early on. Like number 1, the big guy for the Sparrow Academy is done off the board. And the Umbrella Academy, in the meantime, have been trying to find a place where they can kind of regroup and try and work out what the hell's going on. Leave it to Klaus to come up with the Obsidian Hotel. Somewhere where freaks and strays could go and be no judgment.
No questions asked.
Yeah, no. And trust him to know all of those possible locations.
Yeah, you got to trust in Klaus for some things.
You got to trust in Klaus. I mean, Klaus is probably my favourite character. I love number 5 because I think the young actor is amazing at basically portraying an old man but trapped in a kid's body.
Yeah,
it's kind of hilarious. He's brilliant. But yeah, Klaus is great as well. But they go to this hotel now. Very broad brushstrokes now. Then, so it's kind of like they start to work out that okay, we change the timeline. What can we do? Now, a couple of them are kind of like, oh, well, we need to change it back. But 5 is done. He's like, I'm retired. I've had enough. I saved the world twice really quickly. I think, like, for him, it's been 14 days or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, I have had the craziest 2 weeks. I am done. The world's fine. Yes, we're where we shouldn't be. But the world's, everyone's alive. There's no problems. There's no pending apocalypse.
Just don't meet yourself and you'll be fine.
Well, let's talk about that scene just for a moment then. The scene was in the trailer, and it cracked me up in the trailer. And when it was in the show, it cracked me up again. Like, if you, it goes without saying, if you run into your other selves, don't. And Diego's like, kill them. And Klaus, fuck them.
Yeah.
And they're all like, what? And Luther looks at him, he's like, oh, come on, like, you wouldn't want to climb up on Mount Luther.
Yeah.
God, I was helpless, absolutely helpless. Yeah, just like real tears, just absolutely. The guy's
only
delivery.
Klaus is the only one who could ever say something like that.
Absolutely. Now, that scene kind of lends itself, kind of leans into actually another scene, which is one of the things we discussed going into this season is obviously the transition for the actor who played Vanya. Yeah. The actor has transitioned, and therefore they were going to change the character. Now, they did a transition between Vanya to a character called Victor, and one of the things we discussed is like, oh, how are they going to cover this in the show? Because Vanya's character had such an interesting story arc as it was, and, you know, what are they going to kind of do? Now, there's lots of different ways that this could be done, and there's lots of different ways that I think, you know, it's like, oh, no, I was a little bit nervous about how they're going to do this, how they're going to change the character. Yeah, I kind of felt it was just brilliant, because when you think about the Umbrella Academy, the kind of, you know, the waifs and strays and kind of all of them are really kooky in their own right. The fact that he walked up and said, oh, I'm Victor now, and they were like, oh, I like your haircut. It's like, yeah, I want to be called Victor. And they all just went, okay.
Yeah, whatever,
like,
fair enough.
Yeah, and like every new person that learned was like, oh, you're called Victor now. Are you happy? Yeah, great. And that was it. And it was like just the perfect way of just, okay, done. Box ticked, move on, and we just focus on the storytelling. And I for me personally, I think it was the best way they could have done it.
Yeah, I think so. Like, they mentioned it quite a few times going through, because obviously each new character they have to meet, have to go through, I'm Victor now stuff. But apart from that, it was almost kind of just like brushed under the carpet, like, this is what's happened, whatever, crack on.
Well, it's just normal. It was the equivalent of, like, you know, someone just sort of, oh, by the way, I'm this now. All right, yeah, fine, whatever.
Yeah, if that's what you want, whatever, crack on.
And that was the overriding gist of it, wasn't it? Well, are you happy then?
Yeah. So, yeah, that worked. With the whole, are you happy with it? Yes, I am. Right, okay. Don't need to spend any more time on that. Let's move on with trying to save the world. Yep.
Right, you're Victor then, let's crack on. Now, the part about saving the world's an interesting one, because
no one wants to.
Well, no, and what it is kind of like saving the world fatigue, I'm guessing. It's like, oh, I'm done with this. You know, I've had enough. Now, we talked about number 1 went missing. So the Sparrow Academy, in retaliation, thinking he's been kidnapped by the Umbrellas, take Luther.
They take their number 1, yeah.
And Luther is just not... I don't know what the right word... I don't know what the right way of putting it is, but he's not...
Sandwich short of a picnic.
Yeah, he's not the most intelligent of people. And he's like so lovely. Do you know what? If I was going to characterize him as like, he'd be a big puppy.
Yes, I must admit, for me, I think I said to you in messaging form, like season 3, I think Luther kind of stole this season for me.
Oh, really?
Just in his manner, like number 5 will always be just an absolute outstanding actor anyway. Yeah. And the things 5 says and does are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Klaus is always Klaus.
Yeah.
Like, you guaranteed humour with him.
Very much so.
But Luther's character in this season, I felt, was very different to previous ones.
Yeah.
And I think absolutely stole it for me this season. Like, I was chuckling so much at bits Luther was in. Like, when he's taking hostage.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, oh no, I've been trapped. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, you've got a gym. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
I was going to go work out in the gym. It's cool.
Yeah,
dinner. Hey, you guys are awesome.
Yeah. Oh, great. So I just get to sit here and eat. No problem. And yeah, it just... The fact that they're kind of like, well, we've taken you from your family. He's like, yeah, big whoop. They're an assholes.
Yeah, you've done me a favour. Yeah.
Because one of the overriding things of his character up to this point is he's been in love with Alison. You know, it's been like a running thing that they've always kind of had a thing for each other.
Yeah.
And then you get to this season where in the previous season, she obviously got married and fell in love with someone. And he found that kind of difficult, but I think he also enabled him to kind of say, okay, that's done. You know, that part of my life, that's done. You know, she's...
Yeah, season 1, she's got her daughter. Season 2, she's got Ray.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, it's time I move past those feelings.
What, 2
and then,
weeks?
And then I know, right? And then he meets Sloane.
Did he just?
And Sloane, by the way, just when they're sort of meeting and they're talking, I'm kind of like, oh, this poor guy's getting manipulated by a pretty girl.
Yep, I had that thought process.
I'm so gutted for him. And they kind of set us up to think that, because he thinks it in it. It's like, oh, I'm such an idiot.
I reckon it lasted till at least episode 6 of me thinking like that.
but the kind of lovely thing is she's an absolute dork.
Yes.
And like all of the stuff that he's like, oh, I was on the moon. She's like, oh, you were on the moon? Like he tells everyone else that, and they're like, shut up, Luther.
Yeah, whatever.
And she completely geeks out about it. They're friggin' adorable together.
Yes.
It's kind of great, and they do get together, and they start a relationship, and they fall in love, and they get married.
They do, but I say it took until like the episode before the wedding at the end of the world for me to actually finally go, no, okay, she is being genuine. Okay, okay. Because I was still just like, oh, this is horrible, because Luther's like you say, a big puppy.
Yeah.
He's finally got his leg over for the first time, so therefore, obviously loves her.
Yeah, obviously
because
loves
we
her.
all know how men work.
Yeah, she's the best.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, it's going to break him. It's going to break him. Oh, no, they're actually getting married now. Okay.
So one of the characters in this series, basically series 1 and series 2, has had a bit of a rough trajectory, was obviously Alison. In season 1, she's not really around her child anymore. She finds that incredibly difficult. She's also attacked by her sister Vanya, which, cuts her throat in essence, which means she can't use her ability. So she has a rough time. In season 2, she's basically transformed to a time where black people treated her horrifically. And that has left her with a lot of anger and a lot of scarring from that. And she's really struggled with that to get past it. And, and she was there for years, like 5's like, oh, it's been a couple of weeks. She was there for 3 years, I think.
Yeah.
And she met someone there, fell in love again, and then is wrenched away. Yeah. And now you're in a situation where she is a very, very different character. And to the point that in this season, I don't like her.
Oh, do you know what? I could not stand her. The whole way through, like, to the extent of she gets a happy ending at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't deserve that.
Well, no, and this is the thing, is like, there's a lot of, because I just went through that stuff there. Yeah. And me and you are both of the mind, like, you take that into account when you're looking at her actions, kind of like, oh, she's done this, but she's been through this, and you're kind of like balancing it. Yeah. There's a couple of things in this series which, to me, take it to another level. The first one is she straight up murders Harlan.
Yep.
Now, that for me was like right on the edge, because I'm kind of like, I do completely understand why she might have done that, but that's still, Alison has murdered someone.
See, yeah, for me as well, it was strange, because when she says to Victor, oh, I'll take him there, don't worry, I went, she's going to kill him. That's it, she's killed him. Yeah. And then she doesn't, and I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Maybe she's not as gone as we thought. Oh, no, she was biding her time, now she's killed him. Okay.
Well, it was kind of like, she was trying to give Victor the opportunity, being a good family member, but the minute that she found out what he had done, the minute she realised this whole situation was because of him, bang, that was it. Just like, no, don't care anymore. And she just thought about herself. Now, so there's that, which is like, is bad. But when she basically rapes Luther, I'm like, this show goes to certain levels, and that for me was like, holy shit. Yeah. This that's really messed up.
Yeah, I heard a rumour you won't leave. Don't do this. I heard a rumour you wanted me. Oh, no.
I know. I genuinely felt kind of sick in that moment. And I'm going to say this, and I know I'm probably going to get hate for this, but you couldn't do that scene the other way around without complaints.
No, you're probably right. You are probably right.
You do that. You switch those abilities and the characters and the genders, and you have that happen, and people would lose their freaking minds. As it is, I'm seeing a reaction online to this along the lines of, oh, lucky Luther. I'm like, I'm sorry. No way. That guy is in love with another woman, is about to get married, and he's been raped. He's literally been assaulted by her.
Yeah.
And,
it's only because of his actual strength that Alison stops it before anything more can happen.
Yeah. It's
Which
awful.
is crazy. Yeah.
It is absolutely awful. And that seemed like... So for me, it was kind of like, wow, okay, you have gone. So you are no longer someone I'm on the fence about. You are not a good person.
Yep.
I've been understanding to this point. I've been kind of like, even when you've literally murdered someone, I've been like, okay, you have been pushed to that.
I can see why you did it, sort of thing.
Yeah, you have been pushed to that breaking point, and lots of those other characters might have done the same thing in the same situation. But that was so far, that was so far beyond the line was a dot to her.
Yeah.
Now, you add that to what she then does at the end, where she basically does a deal with Dad to get what she wants in a new timeline.
Yep.
And to hell with everyone else.
Yeah, there's no consideration for anyone else. It's just like, I'm getting what I want. See you guys later.
Now, in that final scene, they are basically being killed. And she does act to stop that. But is that enough? Like, for you, because she then hits the button anyway. Do you know what I mean? She then resets the timeline anyway to get what she wants. Is it enough that she stopped them from being killed? Like, for me, it's like, no, it's really not. It's like you are so messed up in what you've done in this season. I don't see the fact that you saved them all as redemption when you then look at her getting her happy ever after.
Yeah, she only saved them to still get her what she wanted. So no, for me, not deserved. Which is a shame, because she was a character that I really liked in the first two seasons.
Well, it's such a unique kind of fun ability that you can imagine you could have a lot of interesting arcs with.
Yeah.
And instead, in this season, it just became dark.
Yep.
Like,
Very
doing
dark.
doing what she did with Luthor was just dark. So, a very brief explanation of the Kugelblitz then, because I think probably... obviously anyone listening to this has watched the show, but just as a kind of a recap, the Kugelblitz has been caused by the grandfather paradox. Now, did you follow this? Because I'm going to tell you, I watched it, I didn't really follow it, and I had to kind of just read up a little bit.
I kind of I was trying my best to keep up with it.
Yeah.
And I understood it. When they actually show, like, the breakdown thing of it all, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, maybe.
Right, so
maybe.
let me give a very, very basic thing in this, okay? So this is Temporal Mechanics 101. Welcome to class, everybody. The grandfather paradox is that if you were to go back in time and murder your grandfather, okay, then in essence your grandfather is gone, your father wouldn't exist, therefore you wouldn't exist. So if that's happened, could you then go back in time to do it? You create a paradox.
Yeah, you can't murder someone if you've never been born because you murdered them, so therefore... Yeah.
But then if he isn't murdered, you would be born and you could murder him. So you basically create like a loop.
Yep.
Now the grandfather paradox therefore takes your grandfather out of the timeline. It's like a permanent circle. If he exists, you kill him. If he doesn't exist, you see what I mean? It's just like a permanent... It's a mess. Now, what's happened in this season of the Umbrella Academy is Harlan, like we mentioned, let out an absolute grief wave of energy when his mother died. And he, for whatever reason, targeted and murdered the mothers of most of our Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
Now, in doing that, that meant they were never born. However, they are there in this timeline now.
Yep.
So if they are there, then they have basically broken the time and entered the Kugelblitz. Oh man, I think I just gave myself an aneurysm. Yeah. Oh.
Well done.
Now the Kugelblitz is kind of amusing because it starts with this ball orb, and if you get close to it, you die. But you're kind of like, I'm looking at it thinking, well, just don't get close to the damn thing. I mean, everyone's safe if you don't get close to it.
Lock the basement, and you're fine.
But then it starts firing out energy waves and just gradually deleting more and more stuff and people. and just starts crushing
It's the fact
the
he takes
world.
the animals and stuff as well, like the field of there's loads of cows.
Yeah.
There's no cows.
It just rips through the world. You know,
Yeah.
there's this wave upon wave, gradually disintegrating more and more and more until, you know, literally there's the hotel left. You know, the hotel Obsidian is the only thing left standing. Now, we learn throughout this show that the Hotel Obsidian was built by Dad, and it was built because he recognized at some point in the past it had this connection to another dimension.
Yep.
And he built on the other side the Hotel Oblivion. And he basically explains throughout this, like, you know, there's a machine and I need your help unlocking it, and it's guarded, and this will enable us to save the universe, save the world. The funniest thing for me about that is he kind of explains it, and he's not being an asshole, really. He's being fairly, I mean, he's still being him, but he's being far more likable than the character we've ever seen before.
Which really confused me.
Which is very confusing. But the Umbrella Academy are just like, nah, F you. No interest whatsoever. Go away. We're done. End of the world? Fine. Embrace it, mate. We've saved it twice. We're not doing it again. What were your feelings as that was kind of rolling up? Because I'm watching it thinking, well, at some point they're going to have to change their mind. At some point. You know, because otherwise, what is this show? If the show's literally going to end with everyone dying, okay, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the Umbrella Academy. I'm going to be like, oh, wow, okay.
There was a part of me that genuinely thought, I was like, maybe this is a 3 and done. Maybe this is how they're going to end it, with the case of they saved the world twice, you're expecting them to save it again, but guess what? They don't.
Yeah. I mean, it would be funny. You know, very funny, in fact, but I don't know. It's just such a strange show that when you're watching it, you do have these kind of like, well, maybe they won't do it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe enough's enough for them. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they've. Oh, I don't know. And it's kind of funny because 5 desperately was trying everything not to end up involved in trying to save the world again.
What I loved with his storyline is that he finally goes, ugh, fine. Ends up joining up with Lila.
Yeah.
Who they hate each other. They try and kill each other. The first interaction between them is them trying to kill each other again.
Yeah, constantly, yeah.
Joins up with her, goes to the commission, meets himself, realising that he is the bloke that actually formed the commission.
Yep.
And he says, don't save the world. And he's like, well, that's my sign. That's it. Yeah. I'm done. I even told myself not to do it.
But he has that tattoo, which he carves off of him. Yeah. And he goes and finds his Pogo. Pogo, who's a badass biker tattooist.
Because he got sacked years ago for not sending the Sparrow Academy on a thing. Yeah, it's...
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. The Sparrow Academy, by the way, are dropping like flies.
Harlan's just killed another couple.
Harlan's killed a couple of them, and they're just gradually dropping to the point that it's Ben, a few left. Now, probably one of the funniest scenes for me, or one of the... I mean, a scene that kind of just sums this show up is the world is ending. Literally, it is falling apart. Outside of this hotel, it is the apocalypse. And they are having a wedding.
Yeah.
Literally, episode 8, wedding at the end of the world. It is literally that. And it is hilarious to me because the characters, vast majority of them are just like, screw it, let's get drunk. You know, there's nothing we can do. Let's just embrace the end.
Yeah.
It's this nice that 5 gets absolutely smashed, but he does see Dad talking with Alison.
Well, he sees him making a deal with someone, yeah.
It takes him a while to remember exactly who it was, but we do see that. So, from the wedding to the point we get towards the end, Dad is the master manipulator. Reginald, I keep calling him Dad because that's what they call him, but he orchestrates it so he manages to get a team to go through to the other side to Oblivion.
Yeah.
And how did you feel when he killed Luther?
Yeah, that I didn't see that coming.
No.
He kills Luther. And then it's like, oh no, it must have been someone from the other side of the door.
Yeah.
We must go get vengeance on Luther. And it's like, you clever bastard.
Because up to this point, he'd acted in a way like, okay, I've accepted everyone's decision. Okay, I understand. And he'd acted in a kind of like, he'd been really father figurey to Klaus, helping Klaus realise his full potential.
Oh, mate, we've got to spend a second talking about that.
What, the throwing
that
the ball out into the road?
Amazing.
The throwing the ball into the road. Yeah.
Catch the ball, so Klaus. I caught it. Bang.
Yeah.
Ah. 12 minutes.
Klaus basically becoming the master of resurrection and being immortal.
Yeah.
I mean, probably the worst character ever for that to be because he's so lazy.
But my God, was that the best episode? Like, I think that was probably my favourite part of the entire season.
It was very funny.
Going through it.
Very funny.
Down to 6 minutes. Well done. I think I sussed. Bang!
Yeah,
it's fine now.
Yeah,
and by the end of it, he's just stood in the middle of the road going, go on then.
Yeah. I mean, he's great. I mean, he is very, very funny. And the actor who plays Klaus, he's just got it so nailed.
Yeah.
He's broad Irish as well. I had no idea. I saw him interviewed recently and I was like, oh, holy hell. That's... How have you done that? I had no idea. But anyway, so we get to this point where he kills Luther, and I'm kind of like, oh no, you are an evil bastard. You're still the same guy.
Yeah.
You know, this all been a manipulation. Up to this point, I've been kind of like, oh, maybe he's not. I don't know. And then it's like, oh no, all of it. And he even locks Klaus out and says like, oh, goodbye, my boy. You know, you're gonna die.
Yeah, was. Now, I was watching that and it saw that. And when he kicks Klaus back, I'm like...
Yeah.
Now, he knows Klaus can't die.
Yeah.
But he's left him to die. And the way he's left him to die in a universe that is literally being ripped apart. Yeah. I'm like, is that like the ultimate punishment?
You're
going to keep coming back to life in a world that doesn't exist and dying instantly? Like, how does that work? It's
just brutal. The guy's just evil, and he gets the rest of them through, and he's like, oh, Klaus didn't make it. It all collapsed in behind me, and it just... The whole team then are, like, motivated and wound up, ready to do what he wants.
Yeah.
Five's kind of still giving him the side eye. Five's not on board. Five thinks he's a dodgy old bastard, which he is.
Yeah.
But they go through the motions. They take down these guardians, which was pretty cool scenes, pretty cool fight scenes across that. But they do take him down, and we have a situation where he's trying to find this machine. He's like, you've got to find this insignia, which happens to be the same thing as on the tattoo that Five found.
And on the jukebox, they go through, it's on there as well. Yeah.
Yes, yep. And Five gets up in an elevated position and spots it on the ground.
Yes.
And so there are 7 stars on the ground, and Reginald says, quick, everyone take a star. We need, this is really important. And he stops Alison from getting on one, because obviously they've done a deal.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when they're all on these 7 stars, you start to see basically all of their energies being drained. Now, in flashback in this season, we see these kind of shining lights when these mums became pregnant all those years ago.
Yeah.
So it's basically the powers that these people have got is then being drained out of them, because you see these shining lights again basically be sucked away from them by whatever this machine is.
Yes.
Whatever this machine is basically powered by that. The machine's killing them, turning them into like lifeless husks.
Yeah, literally absorbing all of their soul or their power or whatever it is, yeah.
And it's at that moment Alison smashes Reginald, carving his head open, letting out all the alien goo. And
did you remember that Reginald was an alien?
Yeah.
I'd forgotten until that point.
Oh, really?
And then suddenly went, what the? Oh,
yeah! No, I had remembered, luckily. But otherwise I'd have been grossed out, like, what the
Yeah.
And then it's just a button to push, and they're all like, don't you do it. Alison, do not do it. But she does.
Now, what gets me with that scene, like, she presses the button, but
for
all she knows, that could have carried on. She's just saved her siblings.
Yeah.
Pushing the button could have killed her siblings.
I know.
She has no thought process for anyone but herself. She goes, my future, bye.
And that's the thing. It's like, this is my point. It's like, even in that moment where you could think there's a beginning of a redemption, even though she's done some stuff that for me personally is completely unforgivable, it's not there, because it's actually just purely like, oh, actually, I still want this, so I'm going to push the button anyway. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, she literally could have pushed that and killed everyone, but she didn't care.
Nope.
She was getting what she wanted. And all of her family, all of her family who just pleaded with her, don't push the button.
Yeah.
She went and did it anyway. So we have this moment where basically the world's back. The timeline is a brand new timeline. This is like a reset. In the reset, she is there with her daughter, but her husband is the guy from the 60s.
Yeah.
So she has created a best of both worlds scenario for herself. And she's got that. The rest of the group kind of come through like an elevator of what would have been where this hotel would have stood.
Yeah.
And it's like a park now. Including Luther. Luther is alive.
But isn't he a bit different?
Very different. All of them are different. None of them have got their abilities.
Yeah, powerless, therefore without the powers, that means Luther was never kind of turned into the man.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Luther
he look
was never
strange?
turned into that.
He looks so weird.
Yeah, it's handsome. He looks handsome, but of course there's no Sloane.
No.
So Luther is freaking out. He doesn't understand what's going on. But the group just kind of like, oh. And they all start going their separate ways. Like, well, whatever. We're done. We're all okay. None of us have got abilities anymore. Let's go live our lives kind of scenario. And they're all and that's how it ends. Season 3 ends, but
literally all of them walking away, just kind of like, I'm going to go live my life.
And then
was
you
really
get to
strange.
see, and then you see that Reginald is not only alive in this timeline, his wife, who he died, is with him.
Yep.
And he is clearly one of the most powerful, richest men on the planet.
Oh, everything. It's Hargreaves Financial, Hargreaves Automobiles, Hargreaves Fuel. Yeah.
So this timeline, he is clearly... Basically, this machine was design your own timeline.
Yeah.
So the world ended, and he has rebuilt it exactly how he wants it. And he obviously did a deal with Alison, where Alison got her corner of it exactly how she wanted it.
Yeah, but the rest of it is line.
My question is, what was the deal? And did Alison, without us realising, whisper a load of people? Rumour them? Did she do, or was it the deal, like if anyone starts to back away, she would do that? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
because he
we
honoured...
don't actually find it out.
No, because we don't know what that deal was, and it'd be interesting to know if we do get a season 4, which isn't confirmed yet. It'd be interesting to know if that will be back sold. I think it will be. I think there's something there. I think perhaps a couple of those characters went through with it simply because they got rumoured.
Yeah,
that's my thinking.
Maybe.
But we do get an after credit scene, which is Ben on a training career, which is basically identical to the flashback to seeing his mother on the same sort of train. We don't know. I thought, when I watched it the first time, we saw those kind of sparkles again. You rightly pointed out to me, no, dude, that's just the brakes, the trains, like the kind of
but I'm
graphics
wondering,
the outside.
Is that purely just showing? Because obviously Ben didn't come back with them in the elevator out of...
No, he did, and then he walked off.
Oh, he does. No, you're right, yeah.
He just walked off.
He just walks off, and then obviously he goes back to Korea.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've got absolutely no idea. Because in my head, the only way that made sense was that Ben didn't come back with them, then we see Ben, so therefore Luther can find Sloane out there, because she is some... But no, you're right, he does come back with them and walk off, so therefore...
Yeah. Who knows?
No sense at all.
But he does this weird sort of smile, like knowing kind of smile, like he's in on something.
Yeah.
Like he could be, I don't know. But that's how it ends, and there's loads of questions. It wrapped up loads of stuff, but there's just loads of questions. The group are all together again. Potentially Ben is part of the group again as well. We could have the original 7, but Alison, I don't know. I am just kind of like, if you're going to go into a season 4... What happens? You know, I think I said to you in a message, if they don't get a season 4, the show has wrapped. You know, that is an ending.
Everyone's got no powers left. Diego throws a knife and misses and was like, what?
Basically Reginald's won. It's kind of like that's how it ends. Now, if you are going to get a season 4, there is still plenty for us to explore. Me personally, I think Alison as a villain is kind of like well worth looking at, because she's demonstrated she has no moral compass now.
Yep.
If she ever had one, it has been destroyed. So if you've got the ability that she's got, she could do whatever. Well, we don't know if she's got her ability. I mean, the rest of the group have lost theirs. Have she lost hers? Or is she designed this timeline where she does have it? We don't know. It's simple. We have no idea. So, well, first question for you then, based off of season 3, because I think both of us going into it, I think because of the gap, it was kind of like, oh, I don't know. This show's a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't know. I watched it, I was kind of like, okay, I did enjoy it. I did enjoy season 3. Would you like a season 4 now, or are you kind of happy with the way it's ended?
Honestly, I don't know. Like, when this season came out, I watched episode 1 before you'd started it, and you'd watched all 10 episodes before I got to the end of episode 3.
Yep.
Like, I did struggle a little bit to get into it. Now, the weird thing is, season 1, I watched the first episode and was like, dude, this is amazing.
Yeah, you did,
and you took a few episodes to get into it.
Yeah, I really struggled.
Season 2, we were both a bit kind of like a couple of episodes to grab us, and then we were fine.
Yeah.
Season 3 took me longer to get into.
It's kind of like a reversal. You know,
yeah.
It's like a reverse. But I think a lot of it comes down to your own, what's going on at the time and stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's like sometimes you've got the time to sit and watch 2 to 3 episodes.
And I think you need it with a show like this. I think you need to watch 2 or 3 episodes at a time.
I agree.
You can't just kind of go, oh, we watch one tonight, one tomorrow, one Wednesday, one Thursday, one Friday. It doesn't work.
It's like a rhythm thing. Like the end of an episode goes straight into the next one. You're kind of like, oh wow, okay, and then bang, bang, which is the way they do it for Netflix, which is fine. It works for them, but
it works for the binge watching culture, 100%.
Like for me personally, I'm kind of okay. I'm kind of like if they say we got a season 4 coming, I'd be like, okay, that's going to be interesting. There's definitely some stuff to work out.
Yeah, if they say no, then at the same time it's kind of like, well, no one's got powers anymore, so it makes sense.
It was a good show, and it had an ending. Because one of the things I hate is when you got a show that's been cancelled and you're kind of like, oh.
Yeah, wait a minute, it was a cliffhanger. How do you cancel that? Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know this is very broad brushstrokes, but I'm kind of happy we've covered everything I wanted to cover.
The only thing we haven't covered is Diego. We haven't really touched on Diego's storyline of where, he gets given a kid. You will now babysit the kid, and he freaks out. He then steps up, takes the mantle, loses the kid, thanks to the Kugelblitz.
Yeah.
To then find out that actually no, that kid wasn't yours. I borrowed him from a friend.
Yeah.
However, I am pregnant, and then he has to go through the whole thing again. I'm like, that poor bloke. He has a season and a half, doesn't he?
He does. Oh. I mean, that's the storyline.
Yeah.
For him is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It is just.
I wanted to test you to see how you do as a father because I am pregnant. What?
Yeah. And it is friggin' crazy. But there's loads of story arcs in this.
Yeah.
I mean, we hardly touched on the whole Harlan thing, which is messed up. But I just feel like broad brushstrokes, we've kind of covered the Kugelblitz. And it's just like one of those things, like I said, when you could easily do this episodically with the amount of stuff going on, but it is just very difficult when the way they structure it and Netflix drop it all at once to do. But if there are bits we miss and things you want to discuss or things you wish we had, do get in touch with us because we do love interaction. We do love discussing things, and there might be stuff and I'll be like, oh no, yeah, you're right, I should have said that.
We always do it. Every show we do, someone will mention something in the inbox or an email and we'll be like, how did we not talk about that?
How did we not discuss that? Yeah. I mean, probably people screaming at it right now. Like, shut up and talk about this.
What about this bit?
Yeah. But you can get in touch with us. You can email us directly. It's Sam or Stefan, Stephan. I need to stress that.
Yes, please.
At stuffandthangspodcast.com is our email addresses. You can get in touch with us anytime. You can also contact us via the Facebook page, the Instagram, the Twitter, the TikTok. we have it all, people.
We are everywhere.
Yeah, we are everywhere. But yeah, never be shy. Get in touch because it's always fun for us to discuss theories. If you've got criticisms, by all means, send them to Stefan because I get too emotional. I get upset. But yeah, that's it. That is us done. That was the Umbrella Academy. I hope you've all enjoyed the recap of season 3. Let us know what you think about a possible season 4. Like I said, I'm kind of okay either way at the moment, but I'm kind of like, if they announce it, I'll be excited. If they say it's cancelled, I'll be like, okay, well, at least it had a proper ending. So
yeah, see, that's the other thing for me. Like what you say about it being cancelled, I wonder if it's a case of cancelled or just finished. Because normally, like you say, when a show gets cancelled, you normally kind of get left with a cliffhanger, and then they're like, oh, it's cancelled. This was wrapped.
The producers have said they have plans for season 4, but they don't know yet. So we'll have to wait and see. For us on this podcast, the next show you'll be hearing our voices is discussing the Marvel Thor Love and Thunder. That should be out next week. I don't know what day yet, but keep an eye on various social medias if you're interested in listening to that one. The Marvel Disney Plus She-Hulk series is coming very soon.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of Star Wars, the Andor series is hot on the heels of that as well.
Yes,
we will be covering both on this show. Until then, everybody, you all take care.
That's a wrap.
You got 30 seconds to get out of our house.
And if we don't?
Then we'll have to settle this the old-fashioned way.
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.